Welcome to Beyond Names. I'm Dr. Habib. This is a space for spiritual seekers and soulful misfits, for the curious and the committed, for those grounded in the tradition, and for those who are not sure what they believe. Whether you call the divine God, Yahweh, Allah, Elohim, Brahman, Great Spirit, higher power, or you're still searching for language that fits, you are welcome here. Together, we'll explore the intersection of spirituality and daily life, the wisdom of many traditions, and the ways we return to our true selves, to our source, to the light that each of us carry within. I'm so glad you're here. Let's begin with introduction of our conversation partner for this episode, Michele Rabinowitz. Michele Rabinowitz has been in the healing arts for 30 years as a massage therapist, body worker, and spiritual healer. She is a self-taught aspiring artist and is passionate about helping her clients connect to their inner and innate, creativity, their inner wisdom, and their deepest truths. She works one-on-one with clients offering spiritual healing as well as spiritual and life coaching. To learn more about Michele and her work, please visit michelehamida.com and her Instagram at Sacred Expression Art. Michele, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Habib. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you.
So, would you please introduce yourself by way of your spiritual story, sharing what you feel comfortable with, of course, in relation to your journey, so we get a sense of who you are.
Yes, I would love to. So I'm going to start with my birth because that kind of was the door that opened actually my life. And
Yes.
it was definitely my spiritual journey.
Hmm.
And I came into this world weighing 3'8", and I'm a twin, so there were two of us.
Yeah.
And I heard the story all my life. It didn't really mean much to me. It was just a story. But
Hmm.
as I got older and started seeking, I realized there was some significance here. There was something I really needed to understand.
Hmm.
So my mother, you know, only gained 21 pounds with both of us, which is not a lot of weight. It's not even a lot of weight with one baby, no
Right.
less two.
Yeah.
Um, and she also was a heavy smoker.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a very good environment. uh, and I don't know if that had any bearing on why I was so tiny, other than being
Hmm.
a twin.
Hmm.
But they put me in an incubator. My sister went home. She was of normal weight.
Hmm.
And I was there for 6 weeks. And at the 6 week point, they sent me home.
Hmm.
And again, my parents were, both of them were heavy smokers, and my grandparents were also there a lot, and they were also heavy smokers. So
Hmm.
here I am coming out of an incubator, very sterile environment, into smoke, secondhand smoke.
Yes.
And so what happened was I ended up with bronchial pneumonia and almost died.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
they took me back, they brought me back to the incubator for 6 more weeks. So
Hmm.
that was, 3 months in an incubator. And so I'm going to fast forward to age 16.
Okay.
And I just want to share a little bit, just as a child, I had a lot of developmental problems. I was
Hmm.
very asleep, didn't know it. I was very shut down as a child.
Hmm.
And I was not really, as I got older, I was not really, especially growing up in New York, it's rough in New York. And it's rough. So I wasn't really walking down a very good road, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Yeah.
And so at 16, my brother, who was a very spiritual seeker
Hmm.
and a hippie at that time,
Yeah.
he was involved with Sufism.
Hmm.
And one day he invited my sister and I, my twin and I, to go Sufi dancing in Coconut Grove, Florida. And I thought, sure, yes. And my twin, who was definitely not interested, she was more interested in just, at 16, makeup and hair and all the outer stuff. But for me,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess I was different. And I said yes. And when I walked in, Dr. Habib, it was life changing, just
Mm.
the teachers, the participants, the energy, the love.
Mm.
And we would dance to all the great religions of the world.
Mm.
And I had no idea what I was walking into, but it was life change. I knew my life changed at that moment.
Yeah.
And I started studying a little bit about Sufism, and
Hmm.
I would go regularly with my brother. And then I met my husband at 17, and I would bring him. He was also a seeker. That was really what really was how we connected, was spiritually
Mm.
first.
Mm.
And we both came from very dysfunctional families. So we really needed that. Like that was we didn't realize that, but that was that spirituality, that connection. And
Yes.
that's 50 years ago. So we're still together. And so we got married, and then I became a mother. I was a young wife and I was a very young mother.
Mm.
And I kind of stopped with the Sufism, but I realized really my stepping into motherhood was my spiritual work. It was
Mm.
very spiritual. I devoted, I don't know, 17, 18 years to my children and to my family.
Hmm.
And I would say, like, I kind of lost the timeline, but somewhere when they were like young teenagers, I felt like I needed to go back to school. I needed
Hmm.
something. I
Hmm.
was somewhat in the, common labor market, and I needed to really change that.
Hmm.
So my brother, again, he was really my first spiritual teacher. Not really, he was my first spiritual teacher.
Yeah.
And he had just graduated massage therapy school. And I got talking to him, telling him, I want to do something. There's something I feel like I need to do. And he said, go to massage school. I said, massage school? I had an idea what massage was, but I really didn't know what
Yeah.
was involved. I was very ignorant. And anyway, so one thing led to another, and I found proper care for my children, and I ended up going to massage school. And again, it changed my life. It
Mm.
was, I felt like I was a kid in a candy store. There was just so much. And I studied everything from herbalism to essential oils to energy healing to all different types of massage, neuromuscular, and deep tissue. And it was incredible. Although I burned out a lot, I didn't realize that I was very sensitive, and
Mm.
also physically, I didn't know really proper body mechanics, so I would burn out
Mm.
pretty frequently.
Mm.
Um, but I felt like I was in deep service, and I loved the work that I was doing.
Mm.
Well, halfway through my career, my clients kept coming back for this from, really for the same chronic pain, like
Mhm.
over and over again. I thought, well, what am I not doing? What am I not understanding here? For me, it was always about, let's get to the root of it. Like, what's going on underneath? That
Mhm.
was where my curiosity went.
Mhm.
And what I realized was there was a missing link there. There was a missing piece. So, and I didn't know what it was. So I did some research because I was due for my CEUs. And
Mhm.
I came across myofascial release,
Mm.
John Barnes's work.
Mhm.
And it was a 10-day class. You could do 3 days or 10 days. It was like a series. And I signed up for 3 days, not knowing at all what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
So day one, I knew this was my work. I
Mm.
just knew it. It was something I never knew, like what we hold inside, you
Mhm.
know, was just really where the problem was. The fascia holds the memory of everything that happens to us. And what was releasing through, the students and what I was feeling was just, I just couldn't believe, I had no words for it, but I knew this work was very, very deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I studied it and I changed instantly, really, with my clients. I didn't do the deep tissue and the Swedish and all that. It was really, I wanted to get to the root, and I felt the fascia was the missing piece,
Mm-hmm.
and but then at some point I realized it's beyond the fascia. There's
Mm.
more. There's something more I need to really understand here.
Yeah.
So I got a phone call from a friend. Well, let me back up a little bit. Um, my husband and I were in a situation. It was a very difficult situation.
Mm.
My kids, my last child, we became empty nesters.
Mm.
We were hit with a very bad hurricane. We were living in Florida at the time. My husband lost most of his income because of that hurricane.
Mm.
Um, my mother passed.
Mm.
My twin, unfortunately, has unfortunately became a drug addict 30 years
Mm.
ago, and she was
Mm.
having a very difficult time.
Mm.
So all that took place really in a few months.
Wow.
Huge loss.
Wow.
And just, I didn't know what to hang on to. I didn't like the identity of being a mother, being a daughter, being a massage therapist, living at a certain level, and then really losing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And real estate, everything just came tumbling down.
Mm.
So I got a phone call from a friend, and she said, "Listen, there's a seminar coming up, a workshop, and this guy is a Sufi, and I know you." She reminded me that I told her that I studied Sufism,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, "I think we should go." I said, "I'm there." Yes, I needed something to hold on to because everything around me was just, there's nothing to hold on to.
Yeah.
So we went to the workshop, and it was my teacher, Dr. Ibrahim Jaffe.
Mm.
And as soon as he started speaking, like my heart just broke open. And
Mm.
again, I felt like all these things just came into my life, one at a time, as gifts and opportunities to seek, to understand who I was, my purpose here, and for deep healing. I needed deep healing, especially coming into this world the way I did,
Yeah.
having a twin sister that's very troubled, and
Yeah.
so we went, and he changed my life.
Mm.
So I continued to study with him. I took
Mm-hmm.
hands with my guide, Sidi Al Jamal, not too long after.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been studying ever since. And then probably about 8, 9 years ago, I decided to deepen my studies with Ibrahim to do the master's program, the
Mm.
Sufi healer master's program. And that's what I've been doing for the last 8, 9 years, is just
Mm.
learning from him. And that's been my work. So it really tied in well with the massage and the
Mm-hmm.
healing work that I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing. I was very much interested in energy healing. That would seem to be my thing. I felt very intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to kind of sense subtleties. And so now I'm going to fast forward again. And I was born Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And I went this was not too long after I met Ibrahim. And I went to synagogue. It was the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there, and I just turned my head, and I saw this woman. And she got up, and she started just dancing and moving her body in a way that was just intriguing for me. It's like, wow,
Mm.
there's like 150 people in this room. but the dance was different. And after I said to myself, I need to speak with her. There's something there I'm very curious about. I always loved dance. Dance was my
Mhm.
thing as a child. And I always loved music. So I was like very interested in having a conversation with her.
Mhm.
And so, of course, I did. And she told me what she was dancing. It was called authentic dancing. And it was like an inner dance. It was expressive dance. It wasn't structured. It wasn't any particular form.
Mhm.
Anyway, when I got home, I started doing all kinds of research. She shared with me about all different types of movement. But it
Mhm.
wasn't just dance. It wasn't just movement. It was a spiritual practice.
Mhm.
So I did end up going to five rhythms. That was what I was interested in because I did love music, and there was a great combination. And when I went, Dr. Habib, again, it just was life changing. What was coming, it's just amazing what we hold in the body, what we hold in the heart. And what I was feeling was just incredible, just by just dancing my own dance, by just moving in a way that was like part of who I was.
Mhm.
And for a couple of years, I would travel and go to see different teachers, and dance was like my thing. It wasn't. It was my spiritual practice,
Yeah.
and it was extremely deep. And I couldn't believe what was coming up and out, and how things were just releasing, things I've been holding on to probably all my life.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, my daughter was in acupuncture school,
Mhm.
and she had just finished, and there was a teacher that one of her teachers was doing a particular type of acupuncture treatment. It was more for like deep possession work, and and her teacher lived in Maine. So
Mhm.
after my daughter graduated, she actually moved up to Maine to study further with her teacher.
Mhm.
And they would have these weekend workshops. And I was invited to attend, I guess, because I was in the healing arts and I was a healer. And, she felt like I would be a good fit. So
Mhm.
I did go. And, the client would lie on the table, and then there was an acupuncture treatment and a whole process. I didn't understand because that wasn't my work.
Mhm.
But we each had a role. All the students that were studying had a role, and I was chosen to be the artist. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, I'm not an artist. I'm not sure what to do with these chalky looking things, beautiful colors and these pastels, but I'll just go with it. And I did. And again, it just opened my heart, opened doors that I just couldn't imagine opening.
Mhm.
And I started, I wish I still had those paintings, and I don't. But I thought to myself, wow, there was something there
Mhm.
that I was. It was just so. It was deep. It was really deep.
Yeah.
And when I went home to Florida, I bought some canvas. I bought a canvas, and I bought an easel, and I bought all kinds of paint. I had no idea what I was buying because I never was interested in art. I always loved beauty. I love beauty and
Yeah.
color, but art, it wasn't really something I was interested in.
Mhm.
And then I started painting, and I would play music and dance because I had now the movement, I had the dance. And
Yeah.
then I started to paint. And again, my life changed in a way that, like, the door that opened to joy and
Wow.
curiosity and
Mhm.
freedom and beauty and color and expression changed my life again
Mhm.
in a way I could never have imagined. And so now it's been about 8 years, and here I am still painting. I decided I was living in Maine before I moved to North Carolina, and I started doing art, the tent shows, and I was
Mm,
sharing my work. And my work is just expression. It's just my whole thing is it's not about perfection, it's about expression. So how can we express ourselves in the way that God really created us to be? Like
mm,
so many people are just, they don't look at themselves as artists, or they're not good with color, or they don't have an interest, but it's part of who we are. It's innate inside of us. And when I started exploring that, um, it was just, it opened up, like creativity is expansive. We're also used to being in this tight box. We wear a lot of masks.
yes.
And I think creativity really dissolves those masks. Like we can
Mm,
show up as we are and express ourselves. And it could be verbally, it could be, any which way, like it all goes. And
mm,
it's finding what brings that joy. And it might not only be joy, it could be other emotions that are really stuck. It's a healing practice. And it became part of my spiritual practice. So my focus wasn't so much on the outer. How did the painting come out? How does it look? Is it balanced? Like all the rules of art, which are very important, especially if you're selling your art. Those are things, is it balance? Is there harmony? The color. But for me, it was the inner process of creativity. And I felt it was, as I was creating, it was bringing me back to who I was, like the essence of who I am.
mm,
And that was the door that opened for me, and continues. It really does continue. And I dabbled in so many different, mediums. I went to pottery and to mosaic and fiber art, which I still
mm,
do. I do a lot with fiber. I started dyeing fiber. I started
mm.
dyeing fabric, natural dyeing with just
Yeah.
onion skins. And it's like the color, like it was just incredible. And then I would have all my materials kind of laid out, and I would just grab whatever. Like I was just drawn to, oh, let me try this. Ooh, wait, let me try that. And being a self-taught artist, I learned so much. I
Mm,
learned what worked, what didn't work, and it helped me really deepen my connection to my creativity.
mm, mm.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
So, thank you, first of all, for sharing so much of your story. There's many parts of which I resonate,
Yes.
but I think I'll focus uh, at least initially on um, those moments where you said such and such changed my life. Like you
Yes. I said a lot of that. Yes.
there was this happened and it changed my life, and this happened and it changed my life, and this happened and it changed my life. And it occurred to me that when you were speaking to those different moments that changed your life, that those were moments of intersection of spirituality and um, your relationship to the body, spirituality and your and movement, spirituality and art, um, and dance is like spirituality and dance. Um, as someone who's married to a dancer,
Oh,
I have I have heard that um, the dance is the idea that dance is an original expression of spirituality. So so taking all of those intersections of spirituality, what I appreciate about your story so much is that I think many folks don't necessarily make that connection of, oh, my body is a door into a spirituality. And you use the that I believe you said in relation to art that the inner process of creativity was a means of returning to who you truly are, of returning to your truly self, of your true self. And so I think a lot of us don't necessarily think, oh, how I relate to my body is a doorway through which I can return to my true self, or how I relate to movement our dance is a way that a doorway through which I can return to my true self, or how I relate to art is is a doorway through which I can return to my true self. So I'm wondering if there are any particular things that helped you like make those connections and open to that inner journey. Was there anything that really helped you in that process of making the connection between, oh, this thing that I'm doing that has an external aspect, like the body, it relates so deeply to an inner aspect and an inner journey. So does that does that motivate any sort of response in you?
Yes, yes. I think it really affects everyone a little differently. But
Yeah.
for me, I guess, and I didn't realize this, but I've been a seeker really all my life. And I was
Mm,
always like, for me, the connection to God
mhm,
is like my lifeline. Like that is like everything for me because I was so disconnected. And once I had that experience of connection, when actually at the time of loss, when all those things
mm,
that happened during, the time I shared with you,
mhm,
I didn't realize I was so turned away from
mhm,
God.
mhm,
And I actually called my rabbi at that time of deep loss. And I said, I'm very depressed. And he said, you're depressed because you're not connected. You feel you're disconnected from God. And
mhm,
that just kind of hit home for me. And it was like, yes, that's right. So I think it doesn't matter if you're going to walk in nature,
mhm,
or you're writing a poem, or you're having a cup of tea with a dear friend that's very present.
mhm,
It's like, or you're, painting, or you're praying. It's like, how do we bring God into everything we do? And I
mhm,
didn't really realize that. But what was starting to, as the movement moved, like I was being moved because I had already made that connection.
mhm,
I didn't put two and two together, but as I reflect on my life and I
mhm.
sit a lot and I pray a lot and like I have to understand, you
Yeah.
know, like because life is like a puzzle and all these pieces sometimes get like scattered that they don't make sense. But as we walk on a path or we return or we become more connected to God and life, and we
Mhm,
see all those pieces, all those things that have happened to us is
mhm,
really makes sense. It's like one big beautiful
mhm,
piece.
mhm,
And so again, when I'm painting,
mhm,
I bring God into everything. If I just worry about what it looks like,
mhm,
it's a whole different thing. But when I go on, like my heart, it's all about the heart, right? It's like putting our heart and soul into everything we do and making that connection and feeling God with everything. Like it's
mhm.
not separate.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answered your question, but I think it's a start.
It's a beautiful start. Uh, so, and and I got a follow-up question, of course.
Of course. Thank you.
I think often I want to give listeners like, well, what does that mean in a real practical, day-to-day, nitty-gritty? Like, make it super accessible kind of thing. So, when you say bringing God into everything, um, of course, I think of Christ consciousness, Allah consciousness, Buddha consciousness, God consciousness, Buddha nature. I think all of those terms are sort of in the field, so to speak. Um, so, what is your way of bringing that being with God in everything, whether it's art or whether it's prayer or whether it's you listed quite a few things with every day or worship, either one.
I think it's a little different for everybody. Some
Yeah,
people find it in nature. Some
yeah.
people find it in writing poetry. Creativity is not a box, or as far as art, it's like it's finding what brings joy. But it takes time to explore that. And it's an
Mhm.
ongoing relationship. And it's an intention of who am I? What opens my heart. And for most of us, we don't know who we are. I know I didn't know who I was. I didn't know
Mhm.
my gifts. I didn't know my truth. I didn't know anything. I just was this person walking around, you know. But when you have the intention of really connecting to God, there's a beautiful saying. Actually, I worked in addiction for quite a few years as well. And we used to say, when, you reach out to God, God comes running towards you.
Yes.
So it starts with that, like an intention, like I want to know who I am. And there's another beautiful saying. It's like we spend half our lives putting our mask on, and the second half of our lives taking that mask off.
Mm.
It's like it's time to take the mask off. We play out these roles and these, play out our lives, and we don't even know the truth of who we are. We don't even know what we carry inside of us. So it's getting curious. And for me, it was always about having a teacher. I was fortunate and blessed to have my brother as my first spiritual teacher.
Mhm.
But I also had a difficult life in many ways. I didn't come into this world, you know, in a good way. So there was a
Right.
lot of healing that was needed. And I
Mm.
really had no idea what was needed until somebody brought that to my attention. It was actually an acupuncturist that
Mhm.
asked me about my birth trauma, my birth story. And when I shared it
Mm.
to him, he said, this needs healing. You need healing. And I
Yeah.
didn't even make that connection. So it's really being honest with ourselves. Like,
Mhm.
what is it that we need? What's not working in our lives, in my life?
Mhm.
Is it my relationships? Is it my finances? Am I having health challenges? Because all those things are signals that we need to turn inside. Like, it's not about the outer. We get so caught in the outer
Mhm.
that we forget that there's another reality, and that's the inner truth. And
Mhm.
that's where God wants us to do the inner work. And I'm especially drawn to working with young women because, especially young mothers, like
Mm.
that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
Because I feel the support, they need more spiritual support.
Yeah.
And I say, you know, try different things. Like I tried Buddhism, I tried art of living, I tried Reiki, I tried so many things because I was yearning and longing for the truth. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that is true for everyone, but for
Mhm.
me, I needed to know the truth of who I was
Mhm.
because I came from a family very dysfunctional and there was a lot of pain. And I didn't want that for myself. And I definitely didn't want that for my children because if I don't do the inner work, and I
Mhm.
didn't realize all this, it just kind of played out. But, I reflect on my life a lot and I see that um, I didn't want my children to experience their lives like I had,
Mhm.
in my life, in my childhood. I wanted to give them something more, something better.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did. Yeah, I feel like I did.
So it sounds like curiosity, awareness, intention. A part of you was very much aware of your intention to foster connection to God and that sense of connection to God. Um, and then I know I'm leaving out others ideas that you said, but I keep returning to the idea of returning to your true self, that these different expressions in the outer were a way of you taking an inward journey, um, and that inward journey is a part of you learning who you really are. And so that makes me want to ask, who are you? Who
Well,
who are
wow.
you in your deepest truth?
I the answer to that is I'm everything but nothing.
Mm,
It's about dissolving or purifying the ego of who I think I am or who
mhm,
I was, letting go
mhm,
of the stories, the pain, the stories, and the identifications,
mhm,
and really becoming nothing, to just fade away gently and softly and become tender and open and receptive and to balance the masculine and the feminine. Like, to me, that's very important,
yeah,
to be receptive, to be soft but wise, and to be, to have structure. Like, we need both. um, it's even hard for me to say I'm a healer or I'm a
mm,
artist. It's like I don't want
yeah,
to fit into these boxes. I spent all my life trying to get out of boxes and labels, and
yeah.
so yeah, I don't. It's a hard question to answer, but hopefully someone will get something from that answer. I don't know.
I'm gonna ask you one more follow-up.
Sure.
Hamida, is there a connection between who you are and your true self and the name Hamida?
Well, Hamida is the praiseworthy, and it's really the first light of existence. Is the Hamid, the Hamd, the
Mm,
Alhamdulillah, and it's really praising God,
yeah.
praising Allah, praising Hashem, whatever name. It's beyond names.
Mm,
It's really about, you know, continue to deepen that connection and letting go of who we think we are, letting go of the beliefs that are kind of just played out. Like, it doesn't really, um, it's not the truth of who we are. Just because we believe it, it doesn't mean it's true. So really, that's the work I do with my clients. It's like, what's your belief about this? Why? What happened that created this belief, that created this pattern?
yeah.
And our mindset, did it create a closed mindset, or is it an open mindset? Or, how has it been playing out in your life?
Mhm.
And so we break it down, and it's about purification. All spiritual paths really lead to that. It's about purifying what
Yes.
we think we are, who we think we are. And it's so much more. Our potential, I'll speak for women because, I work mostly with women and I'm a woman, but our potential is so huge. Like, we
Mm,
keep ourselves in these little boxes. And I know that because I was in that box. But
yeah.
as I started this journey, I realized, my God, these gifts that I've been given, like, it took me a long time to even say I was good at something because I
Mm,
put myself down. I didn't feel, and this is pretty collective. And
mhm,
I'll speak again with women. We don't think we're good enough. We're not this enough. We're not that enough. We're
mhm.
enough. We're more than we can imagine. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful what we each have inside of us. But the sad part is most of us will never know what we have. We'll never realize the gifts that we've been given until we do that inner journey, until we answer that call. And we all are called, that a lot, God knocks on every one of our doors. Are we going to open the door? Are we going to answer the call?
Yeah.
Are we going to show up and say yes? The yes to my brother, the yes to dance, the yes, yes, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm willing.
Yeah.
Because I could find a million reasons to say no.
Yeah. Yeah. And are we going to say yes to letting go of all of all of it
All of it.
in order to realize that essence of pure light that each of us carry within. It takes letting go. It takes letting it all go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's not about holding on and attaching,
Yeah.
because everything will change in life. Every breath, every step of the way, we're being changed, you know.
Yeah.
And so, can we say yes to a new creation, to a new moment, to a new breath, and not hang on, because that's where the pain and suffering. In Buddhism, it's all about, everything is impermanent.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's circle back to creativity and the intersection of spirituality and creativity. And I can't help but think that the Arabic word be, kun, that all of creation is an expression and a continuation of God saying kun, of God saying be, and that kun, that one word, that be, is continuing, that it is not ceased, that is unceasing, that is a continuing word. So I can't help but think about your words about art and creativity as participating in that creating. And so I'm hoping that you will share maybe a little bit of your art, a piece or two of your artwork, and then tell us a little bit more about your creative process.
Yes. So my creative process is I never go in with an idea of what I'm going to create. I originally started with abstract when I first started painting, and then I went into trees because I'm all about trees. And then the women started coming, and I
Mm-hmm.
started only painting women. This has probably only been a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just start, it's like just take whatever, take your hands, or take a paintbrush and paper or a canvas and make a mark. But it's really like getting in that mindset or that heart space, really. So I'm going to share a painting with you. I have to give you the story, a little background, because if you looked at it, you would think, oh my God, this woman doesn't know what she's doing. She has no skill, no talent. And
Oh.
again, it's not about that. But so I painted this woman, and she had many layers on her. And it's really a great metaphor for what I shared. And I love working with paper and all kinds of paints and inks. And sometimes I just do it. I don't think too much about it. And
Yeah.
things start happening.
Yeah.
So about a month ago, I started picking away. I don't know what mood I was in, but I love to do like put paper down and all kinds of layers and plaster.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I use plaster or compound, joint compound, let it dry, and then I pick away at it and see all the layers underneath. So this one, Habib, I think you might be able to see it.
Yes.
Um, I started picking away at her layers of all the paper,
Mm.
and and this was a completely different painting. I mean, she had a lot of it was very strong
Mm.
painting. And I
Mm.
started peeling away and picking at things, and little by little, she just started like showing up in a way that I just couldn't believe.
Mm.
She's in the raw. Like it's like, how can we let go of all the layers, all those things we attach to ourselves? This was really what came to me. Like,
Yeah.
and letting go, as you just mentioned, like letting
Mm.
go of the layers, of the veils, of all the places we want to hide out of protection, maybe
Mm.
out of fear. Like
Yeah.
what's deeper? What's the depth? We have to go deeper. So and then because of the plaster that I put on her, it started getting white along the edges. I don't know if you can see. And I
Mhm.
kind of left it there. But
Yeah.
you know what? I love that.
Oh, yeah.
She's raw. Look at the beauty and the softness of her face, because that's really what's underneath all those layers. is
Yeah.
that softness, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
and now I'll show you one more that I'm working on now, and she's quite different. And, I always say I'm not sure they're done, but this, now she's got a lot going on there.
She's very striking. Yes.
She's very striking. I when I do paint, it's very bold, and I love color and expression, and again, I never know who's going to show up, but
Wow.
here she is, and a week from now, I might go back into it. I don't know, and completely change it. And that's creativity. It's like the freedom. And
Yeah.
I sometimes say, well, I should leave it just as it is, but it's like that just curiosity. Like, what if? Let me
Mm.
just try this. Let me try that. And it's my painting. Who cares? It's like I'm the boss. And if I ruin it, and I have done that, I will go back into it and it's like, oh, that probably wasn't a good decision, but it's
Mm.
okay. It's like, where can I find the the forgiveness in my own heart? Like, just leave it. It's not about the outer. I have to remind myself because we get caught in the
Yeah.
outer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about expression, not perfection.
In both, and maybe I'm being predisposed because of the conversation topic, but in both of those paintings that you show, I get this sense of a deeper self emerging. Um, and that's what the face is conveying, is that there's this deeper truth, or this deeper self that is emerging out from whatever.
Wherever,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I really, it's just trusting the process
Yeah.
of creativity
Yeah.
and allowing ourselves to come empty, to not come with all kinds of, you know, um, projections or agendas. It's like,
Mhm.
it is like these women, it's part of who I am.
Mhm.
And sometimes, like this one in particular, like that's me in there. Just
Mhm.
if you would,
Yeah.
I wish I had before and after, but before was she was totally not like this. This one
Yeah.
let go of so much of pain and suffering, and
Mhm.
and she's soft now.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's very soft, and
Mhm.
she's everything but nothing.
So how about the the non-creative, which it's debatable whether you could act that word actually applies accurately to anyone, but with setting that aside, for the person who's the appreciator of the art, any thoughts on the connection of spirituality and art for the person who's not the creating person, but the appreciating person?
Um, well, there are a lot of people that just appreciate art, and it's okay,
You know.
because it doesn't, again, it's not a one size fits all. It's like knowing what opens your heart, what brings joy.
Hmm.
And like the woman that my friend who introduced me to dancing, she was not an artist. She was an artist in another way.
Hmm.
There were other things that really brought that joy and that creativity. Um, and I realized like we all have that inside of us.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's just appreciating. But I say it's okay to appreciate it,
Hmm.
but get curious because, really, it's bring that child out, like that inner child. That's a
Yeah.
lot of the work that I do. It's like really connecting to that inner child.
Hmm.
Because in that appreciation for whatever it is that you're appreciating, there's something in there for you.
Hmm.
You know, and there's a door there that wants to open. And I say, just be gentle, get curious, and go back to that little child. Like, what did he or she need? You know,
Hmm.
that wasn't, that she
Hmm.
didn't or he didn't get. And
Hmm.
sometimes I think it's through art, through beauty, through creativity that we come in connection with that, which is a very important part of healing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but in maybe
So,
some way.
so if I may try to paraphrase,
Yes.
uh, so first approach art with curiosity, approach art with heartfulness, uh,
Presence. Yeah. Yeah.
with heartful presence,
Yes.
with as perhaps as a child, approach
Yeah.
art as a child, and
Yeah.
then with awareness, paying attention to what occurs inside you
Yeah.
and listen to what happens inside you and perhaps draw a connection between your appreciation of art and your inner child.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Um,
And to joy and pay attention to joy.
yes.
Yes,
And
all
all
of
all
all
of
of
that. And then
that.
more and so much more because yes, for me it was that place of joy, but it was
Yeah,
also sadness in there. It was
yeah,
also pain.
yeah.
You know, the emotions would come up and I would just cry. And it was like, what am I crying? Because things are coming through, they're opening, they're
Mhm,
being expressed in another way. For some people, it's talk therapy, some people, it's spiritual healing,
mhm.
some people, it's art. I'm trying to remember your question or your comment. I went
That's
on
okay because my idea or my question around how someone who appreciates art relates to art in a spiritual sense,
yes,
it reminds me of what you said earlier about art being a healing process, the creative process being a healing process for you. And it sounds to me like you're saying that the same thing can happen for the person who's appreciating art. If you pay attention to what the art evokes in you, and then you allow that washing to occur, you allow the opening and the being with the presence and the washing, there can also be a similar healing movement that takes place, whether
absolutely.
you are the uh, creator or the appreciator.
Either way,
Yeah,
it's like we can appreciate the beauty of trees, right? But
yeah.
it's different when we touch the tree,
Mm,
when we witness the tree, when we are present with the tree. It's like,
yeah.
can we be more present with life, no matter what we're doing, and
Mm,
with each other? And to see really God, Allah, Hashem, whatever name, in everything we are really witnessing
mm,
and saying, like, are we using what we've been given, you know, our senses? You know, what are we seeing? What are we listening to? And it's a deeper listening. It's deeper. And like go deeper, you know, like my teacher Ibrahim said, go deep, go behind, you know,
yeah,
like and and that's to me, that's where the curiosity is. It's not just like we can stay on the surface of everything, but how can we really engage in life, you know, and
mm,
like to feel life, to know life, to understand who we are, who God created us to be. There's so much there. It's like we could just kind of sit back and kind of watch this play out, but are we really engaged in our life? Are we really um, feeling the depth of our lives and who we are?
yeah,
You know, not just for ourselves, but for really for our children. for our friends, for our family, for our ancestors, for the future generations. It's very important to do, like, we get so caught on the outer, but it's time to turn to the inner because that's where the truth is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the truth lies. And that's how it was in my journey, in my life. And I could never turn back to the way I was. Like, I got my life back. Like all these
Mhm.
parts, from being introduced to Sufism, from coming into the world with such a deep wound, I had a
Yeah.
lot of dysfunction. And I'm still dealing with it, but I'm accepting. It's my story, but I don't identify the pain. I cut the pain. It's like the pain is not holding me back from living my life to the fullest degree,
Mm.
fullest expression of who God created me to be. Without that, my life doesn't make sense.
Mm.
Because now I feel I can come from a place of service. Like, how can I serve? And that's in the praising. Like, how can I serve God in the way that's the highest, that really matters? Whether we're a mother, we need to serve our children because they are your teachers. Like,
Mm.
and God gave you a gift. To be a mother, for instance, is a gift. It's not something we should just kind of, push off on other people. Like you raise my children. No, we were given this responsibility and we need to take it, I think, kind of seriously,
Mm.
because we have a life, it's in our hands that we are responsible for. And I see, I'm kind of segueing in another direction here. But I guess being really present with whatever we've been given and to honor it, respect it, and have a level of integrity. Like I remember I went to my sheikh CD once and I said, I don't know what to do with my work, like I don't know what kind of work to do. And he said, whatever you do it with the highest integrity.
Mm.
And that to me was a message that I keep in my heart at all times. What's the highest? Because we a lot of us are just operating at a very superficial level. And I feel like that standard needs to be, raised up.
Mm.
But it starts with us. I know I
Yeah.
kind of went in a different direction there, Dr. Habib, but I hope
That's
that's
okay.
okay.
That's okay. It's a beautiful invitation for us to be as fully engaged in life as we can, as deeply engaged as we can,
Yeah,
with the highest level of integrity that we can, regardless of what we do, with the intention to see the divine and relate to the divine and be with the divine um, in everything that we do. And then also the invitation to, whether it's art or whether it's nature, um, whatever it might be, to allow that to be a doorway to become more fully an expression of who we truly are, of who we were created to be. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you. I guess I want to close and just say, it's not just to be a spectator of life. It's
Yeah,
to really engage and say, yes, I'm ready. I'm here. Like life is now. You know?
yeah, yeah. Life is now. Well,
Life is now.
Michelle, thank you again for being here and for the great conversation. Thank you to all listeners for joining us on Beyond Names. Before we go briefly, if you would please take one breath and pause and reflect for just a moment on what stays with you with this conversation with Michele Hamida. Again, thank you for the invitation to be fully engaged in Life is Now. May something you heard today help you reconnect with the light in your own heart May you grow in compassion, clarity, and courage. May you find your way again and again back home to yourself, back home to the divine, however you name it. If today's conversation spoke to you, please like, share, and comment on this episode. Please follow Beyond Names. To make an appointment with me, please visit habibboerger.com. Until next time, may you be light. May you consciously participate in growing your light, and may you share your light. Peace be with you.
Thank you, Dr. Habib.
Thank you.